I apologize in advance for the quality of the audio in this video, because right there is an AC unit, which is really, really loud. So that's a lot of fun. Let's get into it. Arise, foul tarnished. Speak true and sweet to me, and tell me your ranking of bosses from the video game Elden Ring. It's time, let's go. Elden Ring has been out for a year as of a few days ago, and with the announcement of the new DLC, it seems like a great time to rank the Elden Ring bosses. It's been long enough. Our pcgamer researchers have been feverishly playing and replaying the game and have ranked over 100 of the bosses from the biggest game of last year. A list you can find the full version of on the site right now. But I don't have time to go over that many bosses, so let's get into the good stuff and look at the top 10 Elden Ring bosses. First up is our boy Patches. Love him or hate him, he's been with us from the start, all the way back in Armored Core. So when his health bar showed up in Elden Ring, I wasn't sure if I wanted to take out years of frustrations on him, or just shake his hand. Next up, and this should tell you just how many entries are on this list, because we are already on Astel, Natural Born of the Void. This horrifying space bug has a nerd's rope for a tail and a skull for a face. The design is immaculate and very human, and you can encounter this massive monster before Elden Ring has even shown the bulk of its cosmic horror hand. Killing your beastly ex-bro is almost a cliche for FromSoft at this point, and nowhere is that more the case than with the Beast Clergyman / Malekith the Black Blade. This fight is peak Souls, and is a particular favorite of Souls fans because, well, look at it. Look at this arena design. But I can't stop thinking about his final death rattle. Elden Ring often struggles to reach the thematic heights found in Dark Souls, or even more so, Bloodborne, especially in the last third of the journey, but Malekith urges you in the last few hours of the game to consider what you're actually doing. What are you trying to solve? This is a game about the poison of immortality and the rot it leaves behind, often literally. You've benefited from it your whole journey, and now you hold death itself in your hands. So what will you do with it? And from the end of the game, all the way back to the start, next up is Margit, the Fell Omen itself. He's a funny first boss. Most run into him at way too low a level and are reminded what game they're playing. But he's not actually a test to get good or whatever. He's an important obstacle to teach you how to engage with Elden Ring's open world, to nudge you in other directions so you could return much more powerful than before. Limgrave as an area is outstanding, and it wouldn't work without Margit putting your foolish ambitions to rest. And speaking of Margit, the next entry on this list is Margot, the Omen King. When I was first pitched Margit as being in the top 10 for the whole game, I did raise an eyebrow, but thinking about it, he's a really good echo of what will have been most players' first real boss fight, paired with a nasty second phase that wasn't present before. His location at the base of the Erd Tree could telegraph to some that he's the final boss, but he's far from it. And just like how Margit pushed you to go back out and find more in where you think you've already been, Margot pushes you to go forth and burn it all down. Next up is a dragon, because FromSoft tend to make really good dragons that, in my opinion, don't use their wings enough, but never mind. Specifically, we're looking at an Elden Lord turned dragon. You travel back in time to wake him up, which is, pretty wild. He lumbers around the arena and throws red lightning at you from the sky. It's an exciting fight against a remnant of a history you'll probably never see, unless they announce some sort of time travel DLC or something. Shadows of something. Who knows? Our number 4 entry is the Soldier of Godric. No, seriously, I love this one. He's just a tutorial boss, but he's just a regular standard enemy. Doesn't really have story or lore. The only thing he has links him to a different, better boss. He's just some guy. He didn't sign up for this. He thought he'd respawn with all his buddies and be fine, but no. He's probably just as surprised as you are when he sees his health bar appear at the bottom of the screen. Do you think he knew he'd be gone forever after this? Did he know who he was fighting? He has no dialogue, he has no iconic moves. It's like he's not even trying. He was just doing his... Oh, wait. Sorry, he's dead already. Anyway, whatever. You're not going to remember him in 2 minutes. At the bronze spot on this list, at number 3, is one that really stuck out to me when I first played the game. It's so unique within the game itself and easily one of the most impactful bosses in terms of sheer spectacle and visual design. Rennala, Queen of the Full Moon, is an example of something FromSoft has historically not been great at, the puzzle boss. But this time they kinda nailed it. I'll happily smack these children any day and any time. Please don't take that out of context. There's so much packed into this one fight. Children falling from the sky, books being thrown at you, chandeliers crashing to the ground, Death Stranding, BB. And then the second phase of the fight transports you to a strange otherworld with the moon floating above. A throwback to Rom, the vacuous spider from Bloodborne. I like Bloodborne, I don't know if you can tell. And it really goes to show what sorceresses are capable of in this world. The fight goes from goofy gimmick to face off against a master magician with an audience of stars. And I'm not sure if there's anything more Elden Ring than that. If I had written this list instead of our amazing researchers, there's a good chance this would be my number 1. But it's not. And sat at number 2 is one that you could probably predict. Malenia, Blade of Mikola. Malenia? There's too many characters with similar names. Is it Malenia? 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 Whatever, you know what I'm talking about. The Blade of Mikola. In my first playthrough of the game, it took me, I shit you not, two real-world weeks to beat this fucking boss. Do not talk to me about getting good or whatever, because I will come to your house and Malenia is the pinnacle of Elden Ring's difficult boss encounters. She is absolutely brutal, and she should be. She's a few hits away from becoming a literal god. She's so hard that a major gaming news story from last year was a guy who was able to consistently beat her. She feels like an actual one-on-one duel, the kind you'd expect to see in a non-RPG like Sekiro. Without very specific stats and gear, she will tear you apart. Like she's playing a completely different game to you with totally different design decisions. She'll get some hits on you and restore any health you've taken from her, and her waterfowl dance is maybe the most frustrating thing in the game. So, the way I'm talking about it kind of makes it sound like it's just a poorly designed boss, but it's hard not to admire how much it makes the fight feel like you're out of your element. She just is more powerful than you. She just is, and there is nothing you can do about it. She is designed to be more powerful than you, she is designed to work against the way the rest of the game has worked so far, and you just have to try your best. It is humbling and very intentional. The first time I saw her bloom into the goddess of rot for her last phase, a bit of my adrenaline dissipated. She's cloaked in butterflies and petals and sends copies of herself to fight you. It's beautiful to look at, which made landing the final blow and ending the fight even harder than executing on it to begin with. I don't think I've ever wanted a nightmare of a boss fight to continue. Despite that, this fight is amazing. So with Rennala at 3 and Malenia on 2, what's at number 1? Well, this is another one that made me momentarily raise an eyebrow. After just a moment of remembering this fight, I couldn't disagree with this decision. The Ancestor spirit isn't the hardest fight in the game, nor is it the culmination of lore and story. It's just a quiet dance with a ghostly stag deep underground. It's an early-ish fight that illustrates the scope of the world. By the time you meet it, you've fought a series of messed up guys and horrific monsters. I doubt anyone would be expecting a fight with a mythical beast that, aside from a few attacks, appears to be mostly non-hostile. You enter the arena and see it in the distance. It's an arresting sight. And from there, it begins gliding above you, just out of reach. You only get a few opportunities to attack it, and most of its attacks are easy to dodge. Difficulty isn't part of the equation in this fight. Almost a mirror to the fight in the number 2 spot. This fight is a thematic ride, with a score that makes it feel big and alien. You study its moves in anticipation of brutal attacks like any other boss in the game, but the gentle pace of this fight is never broken. The real purpose of this boss is to challenge you. It's to challenge your perception of this world and its history. Kings and queens above buried something beautiful, and now it's staring right back at you. You don't get any real answers as to what this is or why you defeat it, but it prompts you to start asking those kinds of questions about everything else. FromSoft games have always urged you to think critically about what is happening in front of you. A good weapon and armor set are essential, of course, but what's just as important is curiosity. The Ancestor spirit gives Elden Ring's massive open world a distinct point of view. It teases you with the unknowable and challenges you to find your own answers as you move forward. It's the best boss in the game because it prepares you for everything that comes after. And so, on that note, what do you think of the list? Should your favorite boss be here and it isn't? Go to the site to check out the full list, or tell me down below in the comments and just go off about how wrong I am about my thoughts on these bosses and their positions on the list. And whilst you're there, be sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel for more content just like this. God, I hope the audio came out okay. I really do.